What's up, it's George the Fragrance Press. Now, let me just say something. Let me just address the elephant in the room. The candles aren't lit. I've run out of candles. I'm sorry. I'm working on it. The next batch should arrive today. I'm very sorry. I hope that this doesn't destroy the whole illusion of what's going on. I can only apologise. Anyway, let's just cut to the chase. So tomorrow I'm going to be doing my top 10 advanced fragrances list. Yes, I did my beginner and my intermediate lists in the past few months. I'm now going to be doing my advanced list tomorrow. And that will start into, of course, March, where I will be starting to focus again on niche and indie fragrances. Fragrances that maybe not too many people are talking about, or fragrances that are under the radar. I'm a little bit designered out, if I'm completely honest, although I will still be talking about designers because everybody loves a good designer fragrance. So I've been talking about modern designers and fragrances that have been released in the past few years, so I wanted to do a grand finale of sorts. These are my favourite modern fragrances right now. These are the fragrances that in my mind could actually be labelled as masterpieces. Now, to call a designer fragrance a masterpiece within itself to some people is going to be a bit controversial, but I want to say this. Anybody can do a very, very challenging niche fragrance or indie fragrance, and you can make a fragrance smell like dirt or mothballs or cat litter or soil or coffee, and you can say, right, that's brilliant, that's a masterpiece. But a designer brief is very different. A designer brief is, we want you to make something that's unique, but that everybody likes. That's very difficult, and something that sells. That's quite a lot to handle, and only some of the most trained perfumiers can do it, and it is quite a commodity to be able to do that. So here are my 10 popular mainstream fragrances that I love in descending order, 10 to 1, 1 being my favourite of the past few years. We've got fragrances from 3, I think one maybe from 4 years ago, which is a little bit cheeky, but let's just get into it. Number 10 is this, Givenchy Gentleman Cologne. This is very, very new to my collection, but in my mind it deserves to be on this list for one reason, and that is the vetiver. Do you know how crazy it is in the year 2019 and 2020 to be adding a rooty, earthy style vetiver in a modern designer fragrance? It's very rare, and the reason being is because that old rooty vetiver smells as though something that your granddad wore. It smells like a war vet from like World War II. It smells old. That was a very, very popular style of perfumery in the 40s. But then again, everything that is old can become new again. But it had a stigma, this kind of scent, this kind of smell, as being like really old-timey and, you know, only really old people wear it. But no, Givenchy went, no, we're going to actually take that rooty style of vetiver that smells very earthy, very grassy, very green, and we're going to put it along with some citruses, and we're going to make it work. And there you have an opening that smells quite brave in a way to me, but also smells really bloody good. And then after 2 hours it disappears. Yes, you did warn me. Don't worry, I did listen. I should have listened. Yes, the performance on that fragrance is terrible. After 2 hours, it disappears magically into the air to be forgotten about forever. And yes, I will address that in the review. Number 9, BVLGARI Wood Neroli. Similar kind of story in a way. This is a fragrance composition that is as old as time itself. The neroli base with some woods and a little bit of florals. Yeah, I mean, that's been going on since the beginning, the dawn of perfumery itself, but it still holds up and it's still prevalent in fragrances. And every now and then, every couple of years, you'll get a fragrance like this, but this is my favourite iteration of it in the recent years. Why? Because it has that BVLGARI class, it has that BVLGARI man sophistication with all of the regular notes and all of the regular chords that go into it, with some really good solid sandalwood as well. Just kind of works, just really works for me, and I appreciate that it's an updated asset of that old school style, but it's also very modern and really works in that way. It's just fantastic. Number 8, the oldest of the releases here, I think, Pure Tonka, Angel Men Pure Tonka, the last great Angel Men of our time. Very, very beautiful with that coffee and tonka bean and vanilla. It smells yummy, it smells delicious, and quite edible, yet very straightforward and very simple and to the point. And when you've got something that is very comforting and very cozy and very tasty and very delicious, but yet very straightforward and isn't too aggressive and, you know, isn't too up in your face, like, I don't know, Espresso Royale or even Bond No. 9's New Harlem, you get something that's very, very inviting and very easy to wear and very enjoyable to wear, and that will get you compliments and that will get you a lot of attention. Love that one. Really enjoy wearing that, especially in the autumn days and in the colder weather days, especially for a day like today. Don't know if you can hear that, but it is raining outside, and Pure Tonka is great for that. Number 7, Boss Bottled Oud. People were really upset when this first came out, predominantly because it was a Boss Bottled flanker that dared to do oud. Can you believe it? We can't have these designer fragrances doing these oud things. That's restricted for the craziest niche fragrances of all time. But of course, that is not always the case. I'll tell you something that's really interesting about this. I smell it on the cap, and it smells actually a little bit unappeasing because you've got, you know, just the fragrance dried, and you get the really, really harsh elements of the oud on the dried atomizer. And it actually smells, if I'm going to be just brutally honest about it, a little bit like horse manure. Ouch. But when you spray it on, you don't get that at all. It does not smell like shit when you spray it on. That's just the remnants of the really harsh elements of the oud. When you spray it on, you've got that apple, you've got that cinnamon, which is very akin to the Boss Bottled DNA, rounded out with quite a harsh oud. And so you've got the best of both worlds. You've got this very, very delicious, very beautiful green, biting green, bitter tone to it, which is great. And then you've got the cinnamon, and then you've got the oud. I've always loved it because of that. I've always loved the fact that it decided to just take the elements that we've already got, take the ingredients that we've already got with Boss Bottled, and then we'll add the oud. Fantastic. One of the greatest, not just one of the greatest oud flankers, but in my opinion, one of the greatest flankers of all time, because it was just so clever in the way that it did that. But my favourite Boss Bottled flanker is actually Boss Bottled Tonic, which is a sentence I never really thought I'd say, but it's great. It's absolutely bloody brilliant, and it's refreshing, and it's like that tonic water, and it just ticks all the boxes. It's so simple, it's so straightforward. It has that tanginess that comes with the Boss Bottled apple, but they've really emphasised that. They've really emphasised the tanginess of that, and then you add a little bit of a sea salt, aquatic element, and it's just phenomenal. And boy, does it get compliments. If you ever are asking me, George, what gets compliments and all that kind of thing, I'm always going to tell you about Boss Bottled Tonic, no question. Number 5, Ferragamo's UOMO. Brilliant. Chocolatey, bit of coffee, vanilla. I've gone on about this fragrance, just love it. And it's nostalgic for me. That's another thing. Reminds me of film school. Reminds me of some really good times, so I'm probably a little bit biased these days. I'm just going to be brutally honest. It's a bit subjective. I just love it. I just think it smells good, and I've always loved it. And it smells, I don't know, chocolatey and warm, and a little bit naive, a little bit innocent. A little bit innocent in a way. So you smell this and you think to yourself, maybe the world isn't that bad. Obviously it is. But just for that moment, you know, when you put it on, it's great. Number 4, Boss, the Scent Absolute. Wow. Wow. Thank goodness. Thank goodness I'm alive to experience this fragrance. Absolutely bloody brilliant. I've done a review of it. Just go and watch it. All I'm going to say is it's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. Fantastic fragrance. One of the greatest fragrances in the past couple of years, and the greatest designer release of 2019. I've gone on and on. If you're new to this channel, the reason why I was so quick on that one, I've gone on and on and on about it. People are sick of me talking about that one. Just go watch my review. Number 3, oh yes, ACQUA Profumo, herby, got some rosemary, got some thyme. Very, very, very unique in that way. Very, very rare for perfumiers to use such ingredients like rosemary and thyme and other things like that. It feels like I'm baking bread or making a focaccia when I've got this on. But it's also got the sea salt, the aquaticness, the citrus. It's just just wild, but very mature and very confident and very sexy, right? And because there's not a lot of sweetness, the less sweet something can be, the more mature it can be, right? If you have something that's just a sweetness bomb, you're going to smell as though you're in your teenage years or you're in your early 20s. But Acqua di Gio, which I like, don't get me wrong, I like that. But Acqua di Gio Profumo strips all of that and just gets you the best elements of an aquatic. Number 2, Tom Ford Ombre Leather. I'm wearing it today. I'm wearing this all the time. I'm going to run out of this soon. This was my number 1 of fragrances that I can't stop wearing, but I love it. Might just give myself a re-spritz. It's my scent of the day. Just love it. Love wearing this suit with it. Just so easy to wear, so impeccable. I did a review of it maybe yesterday. I don't know. It depends on when this is going out. But very, very recently. That review will be out right now. But what is my number 1 favourite fragrance of the past few years? The fragrance where I'm like, hands down, okay, you win. That is absolutely phenomenal. You've got to try it out. It's bloody brilliant, smells confident, smells interesting, smells quite innovative in its own way, and just is just something I'm so happy to own. That's got to be Chanel's Bleu de Chanel Parfum. The best Bleu de Chanel of all time, ever. EDT's fine, doesn't really suit me. EDP's fine, doesn't really suit me. This, absolutely brilliant, and it's got everything. If you were to construct a designer fragrance from the ground up and think to yourself, right, I want something that's innovative, something that's interesting, something that will get me compliments, something that will get good reactions, but yet is something that in a way hasn't been done, and in a way something that just smells quite unique, even though it's from a Bleu de Chanel, which isn't the most unique thing in the world. Bleu de Chanel Parfum. Unbelievable. Aquatic, got some incense, but it's got this marine type quality, as though it's got a lot of elements from like under the sea. It's a wild adventure under the sea where there's sea creatures that light incense sticks. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. That sounds like a Jules Verne novel or something. And it's my favourite mainstream fragrance right now. And it's absolutely brilliant, and I would totally recommend that you go check it out. So I've loved doing these designer lists. It's been brilliant. I've been doing them since November, and it's wonderful, and they can be very popular. My designer videos won't be going away completely, but I want to now start focusing on more indie and niche fragrances, some fragrances that people aren't really talking about, so that I can get you some high quality stuff, high quality recommendations that will make you smell unique. Anyway, if you enjoyed this list, and that sounds all very exciting, please subscribe, because there's going to be fragrance content near enough every day for the rest of the year. Anyway, I'm the Fragrance Apprentice, and I will see you tomorrow. Thanks. I'm out.